January 17, 1906. Armand Fallières is elected President of the Republic. A fervent abolitionist, the new head of state appoints Georges Clemenceau as council president, and a debate on the abolition of the death penalty is immediately put onto the agenda. Unfortunately, before the vote, a terrible crime occurs. In Paris, January 31, 1907, an 11-year-old girl, Marthe Erbelding, is raped and murdered. Outraged, the press and public opinion demand the death penalty for the killer. The Assize Court of the Seine, unsurprisingly, condemns him to death to the applause of the crowd. Despite the opposition of the people, September 13, 1907, President Fallières commuted the death sentence of the murdered to life imprisonment with hard labor. The press are incensed. Le Matin and the Le Petit Parisien organize a readers' poll. The results are unequivocal, with over 1 million people saying they're in favor of maintaining the death penalty. A year after the murderer's trial, despite the plea from Jean Jaurès defending abolition, the death penalty is maintained by 330 votes to 201. January 31, 1907, at the police station of Saint-Antoine in the 11th arrondissement of Paris, 3 people present themselves to the officer who is working until 10 p.m. Nicolas and Marthe Erbelding report the disappearance of their daughter, little Marthe, aged 11 and a half. They're accompanied by one of their friends, Albert Soleillon. That afternoon, he'd taken her to a concert at the Bataclan, where the girl had slipped off and disappeared during the show. After searching in vain, they met at the station. Commissioner Oquet had finished working at 5 p.m. The officer recorded the testimony and promised that everything would be done to find the child. The investigation is assigned to Inspector Bourmans. Albert Soleillon is the first questioned, as he's the last to have seen the girl. He says he went to the Erbeldings at 1 p.m. on January 31st. He'd received a free ticket to the concert at the Bataclan and offered it to little Marthe. He said his wife would accompany the girl once she came home from work. Seeing her daughter's delight at the offer, Mrs. Erbelding agreed. So Soleillon leads Marthe home, thinking his wife would be there. But she couldn't get the time off. Not to disappoint the child, he decided to accompany her himself. They arrive at the music hall at 2:10 p.m. and sit in the balcony. Around 3 p.m., Marthe asks to use the toilet. When she hasn't returned after 10 minutes, Albert goes to look for her, but there's no trace of the little girl. At 3:30 p.m., he decides to go home to see if by any chance she's gone back to his apartment. He questions the neighbors, the shopkeepers, but no one has seen her. Soleillon goes to the girl's parents. In turmoil, the whole family rushes to look for her, but to no avail. It's later in the evening when they decide to go to the police. They then continue their search at the hospitals. But no little girl has been in an accident. Albert Soleillon is 26. On October 6, 1906, he married Juliette Bremard, with whom he'd lived since 1998. It was at this time that he met the Erbelding family and their children Eugène, Cyril, Lucien, little Marthe, to which he is very attached, and Maria, the youngest. Albert and Juliette have a son, Camille, who's 3 years old. The two families are very close and share the terrible misfortune that has struck them. 3 leads open up to investigators. Firstly, the presence of a man who's been seen wandering in the neighborhood. After interviewing the caretaker of the building where the Erbelding family lives, 76 Rue Saint-Maur, it appears that an individual aged 45 to 50 years, wearing a dark suit, a cape, and yellow shoes has been seen accosting young girls, trying to lead them away while indulging them in obscene acts. Little Marthe was thought to have been accosted by this individual. February 1st, between 5 and 7:30 p.m., the police set up surveillance in the boiler room where the suspect was last seen. The trap door doesn't work and the man does not appear. The second lead, followed by the inspectors, is that of a gang of thugs hanging around the Bataclan, assaulting artists and customers of the cabaret. It's alleged that these thugs are involved in human trafficking. The director of the Bataclan, Mr. Habricorn, had warned the police about the violence some time ago. Patrols were organized and the band of thugs had recently disappeared. The third lead is the woods at Vincennes, not far from where little Marthe disappeared. Rumor suggests that there are child traffickers in the woods, and the lakes could contain her corpse. Inspector Bormans decides to follow this lead. All the leads reach dead ends, and Albert Soliond is brought back in for questioning. He had some dealings with the law in the past, and had even been investigated for embezzlement. Sunday, February 3rd at 6 a.m., Inspectors Burke and Derol go to 133 Rue de Charonne, home of the Solionds. His wife, Juliette, opens the door. Albert is still in bed. Inspectors then ask him to follow them. He doesn't object. He dresses, kisses his son, and leaves with the police. The deputy head of police, the Chief Inspector Lebrun, will hear his testimony.